Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. It's been a minute, but not gonna DDoS you here, Cam. But every chat's a dad chat now.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It's just three dads drinking and watching, talking about movies your dad's probably seen.
Yeah, I feel like this is what dads did, but didn't have a podcast about it. So hopefully the movies we watch are a little better.
Back before everybody had a podcast, yeah.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. You just hang out and talk about movies. Now it's we just hang out and talk about movies, but it's got to be recorded.
Yeah, I imagine they probably had. There's some benefit there because I'm sure they said some outlandish stuff, but it just went into the void, so nobody, no one got.
I mean,
their
that's
bad
what
opinions.
happens. Well, that's what happens when we say dumb shit. We just delete it and let it go into the void. Or Dylan hangs on to all of it.
We delete it.
Yeah.
Never...
At some point, the future will hold it above us.
Say Dylan definitely does not put it into his blackmail bin.
My homework folder.
3 terabyte homework folder. He's got a dead man switch. It immediately emails all that stuff out if he dies. He's got to keep re-upping it every day to just make sure, hey, I'm still here. Don't send the blackmail yet.
You have to check in every day. It sends a thing to your phone.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, are you still alive?
Still here?
Yes. Okay.
Are you still with us? God forbid your phone dies for an hour.
Thumbprint verification.
Now if somebody murders me, they know to take my phone so it doesn't ping the launch codes.
Doesn't send out the incriminating evidence.
After a hiatus, we're back. We're busy men. Kim just had a baby.
Yes.
I have a baby. Ben's got the oldest baby.
Yeah.
He's a toddler now. I saw that little dude running around the basement a second ago. So
yeah, when even a couple months ago, he was running around opening and slamming doors shut, open and closed. It was funny.
Yeah, still does that. Still loves to do that. His latest thing is he loves to climb on top of his wooden toy box and just flutter kick his legs. So it sounds like a bunch. If you're downstairs, it just sounds like gunshots going off.
That's funny.
Isla does that with her high chair. She'll be sitting in the high chair and she hits her heels on the where your feet rest.
Noah just likes to shit and sleep and eat. He likes to do that
his
too.
own quirks.
Oh, he already has some. When he cries, he punches the air. He'll punch, 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 or kicking too. In the same vein, especially if I'm trying to change his diaper, he'll just repeatedly kick left and right over and over. Come on, bro.
Just wait till they can roll over.
I know.
And it gets real fun trying to make that. Come on, just stay on your back. No, stay on your back. Come on, 2 seconds. All I need is 2 seconds. It starts to feel like a goddamn rodeo.
This week, we're tipping our toes in. Ben had said he'd never seen Hot Fuzz. So we're tackling the second film in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy. It's 3 movies. They're not really related other than the Cornetto being referenced multiple times and the flavor of Cornetto or the color of the wrapper. But it's Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg's 3 kind of, are they parodies? I feel like they're not quite spoofs because they're a little more artsier than that. They're not just flat out scary movie spoof. I'd say it's more of a love letter to these things because they've obviously seen all these movies, all the all the things that they love, and they're just referencing them, and it's more of a love letter to
yeah, it's more like a comedy homage.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a comedy action movie that takes a lot of what it does from serious movies in the genre.
So to kick things off, get everybody in the right mood for Hot Fuzz, we're going to go to this week's cocktail, the Seabreeze. Ooh. I was trying to figure out, I was like, what do they drink in the movie? Well, they drink beer. He asks about the wine, and he's like, well, we have a white and a red. Officer Angel orders cranberry juice the first couple times there. So then I was like, all right, Cosmo, cranberry juice. Well, we did Cosmo for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So then, and then I was like, Cornetto? Is there an ice cream nutty chocolate drink thing that we could maybe do. Couldn't really find anything. So then I was like, all right, let's go back to cranberry juice. So we landed on the Seabreeze.
Which, man, talk about just a manly action movie and to pair it with the manliest possible cocktail. Cranberry juice and vodka.
Hey, we're tying it to the movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be thematically as cool as the movie, okay? The Seabreeze is an icon of 1980s drinking, a light, refreshing cocktail that pairs perfectly with sunny days at the beach. Despite its 80s street cred, the Seabreeze likely originated decades earlier, although in a different form than it's known today. In the 1930 tome by Harry Craddock, the Savoy Cocktail Book includes a recipe for a Seabreeze cooler with a slightly different recipe. The Seabreeze is 1.5 ounces of vodka, 3 ounces of cranberry juice, 1.5 ounces of grapefruit juice, freshly squeezed. You garnish that with a lime wheel, and it's served in a highball glass. I don't know if I've ever had a Seabreeze. It's going to be tart. Grapefruit juice and cranberry juice.
I've had a vodka cran. Those are pretty good. So I imagine
What are you, my mother-in-law?
What? I don't know. What's wrong with vodka and cranberry juice? It's a good combo.
No, nothing. That's just it's what she drinks every day.
It.
So
Yeah. She's keeping the kidney stones away at least.
Sure, that's the main reason she drinks it.
It's the cranberry juice. It'll keep them away.
It's really the only way to tolerate cranberry juice. Load it up with alcohol. No, I mean, it's basically like a little bit more of a tart Cosmo.
if you want to make a Seabreeze, check the show notes below. Hit up the caster links. Buy yourself some alcohol. Have it delivered directly to your door. We get a little kickback from that. If you make a Seabreeze, send us a picture. Tag us at Cocktails and Classics Pod on Instagram. We'd love to share it, and we'd love to know your thoughts on what you think of the Seabreeze. Hot Fuzz isn't available anywhere as of recording, but you can rent it. It's $4. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet, because we're going to spoil. Hot Fuzz is a 2007 action comedy mystery film. Currently sits at a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. It's the story of a skilled London police officer. After irritating his superiors with his embarrassing effectiveness, is transferred to a village where the easygoing officers object to his fervor for regulations, as a string of grisly murders strikes the town. Directed by Edgar Wright, written by Wright and Simon Pegg. It stars Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Martin Freeman, Bill Nye, Joe Cornish is in there, Bill Bailey. What's the dude who was 007? Timothy Dalton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timothy Dalton.
I feel like these are...
Olivia
and
Colman.
I think it's the case for most of their movies, is that they... I mean, I'm sure a lot of the more character actors are more well-known in Britain and the UK, but probably not super popular here in terms of what they've done or what they've been in.
Yeah, and I feel like this one, for instance... Well, so, you got, like, Nick Frost, who... Him and Simon Pegg are in all of the Cornetto movies. And then you have, like, some of the characters that, like, you would know them from Harry Potter, for instance. Like, Frank Butterman is Slughorn in Harry Potter. The guy that they go to his house, who he has all the guns and, like, the sea mine, that's Filch from Harry Potter, and he's in Game of Thrones. I don't know his character in Game of Thrones. I didn't really watch that. And then, like, there's people who have now, like, gotten bigger since then. Like, Olivia Colman, I would say, has gotten a lot bigger than her, like, kind of bit part in this movie. And then there's, like, Cate Blanchett is his, like, girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, who you never see. She's just, like, covered up in the, like...
I didn't know that.
The
That's
gear. Then, like, Peter Jackson is the Santa who stabs him in the hand.
Steve Coogan, who plays the London inspector, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Stephen Merchant was in there.
Oh yeah, he was the P.I. Staker.
Piss taker.
Yeah.
It is funny to see Olivia Colman in this role. I feel like she has never taken herself that seriously, which is nice. But just to
But I
see
feel
her
like a lot
in
of
this
her
role.
roles now.
Yeah, well, they're all like, I don't want to say serious, but like, she's a great actress, right? Like, she's probably one of the best like working actresses right now. And yeah, just to see her in this movie where she's just like doing sex one-liners the entire time is very funny.
Yeah, I could have shown you around the police station. I've been around the station once or twice.
A bit of girl on girl,
everyone
huh?
like knows she's. Everyone knows she's gonna like say something like crude, and they're all just like, ha! The dude who always like the boomhauer of the fucking police station. Like every time she says something, he's just like, tits. Cock. You're just like. So we kind of landed on this movie because previously when we recorded Beetlejuice, I had just like rewatched all of these movies, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And I mentioned it, and Ben was like, "Oh, well, I haven't seen Hot Fuzz," and I was like, I was talking so highly because I feel like when I watched this the first time, it was actually like my least favorite of the trilogy. And I feel like since I've gone to college and I switched my major to film, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch as much film as I can and just want to see all these movies. It's so much better now because I've seen so many more movies and I understand all the references that they're hitting. Not necessarily niche, but like, you know, for instance, one thing is like they reference Bad Boys 2 the entire time. They even show you the reference before. Like they're like, this is what's going to happen. The classic Michael Bay, people are just standing there. It's a low shot and we pan around them a million times. Like they're not doing anything. They're just looking off into the distance, but the camera just keeps like circling around them and switches both ways. Like you're like, oh yeah, that's the Michael Bay shot from Bad Boys or whatever. And then like later on in the movie, once you hit the action sequences, it starts literally doing those camera shots. So like I gained a whole new appreciation for this movie watching it now after I had seen, you know, Point Break and Bad Boys, and like really you start to like understand more of like the humor that they're going for in this one, I think.
Yeah, for me, one of the main reason I like this movie, I think Shaun of the Dead is still my favorite, but I think I haven't seen the third one, the World's End one, but they do so much foreshadowing in this movie or setups early on that pay off like an hour later. And it's like, and you only really, I feel like every time I watch this movie, I pick up on more stuff that I'm like, oh, that happens later. Like that's a later thing. I mean, the immediate obvious one is like the supermarket guy runs up to him and he's like, I'm a killer. I'm a slasher of prices. You have to arrest me. And like obviously ends up being a killer, right? But then there's so many other ones. Like there's a part earlier on where there's a woman doing a crossword and she's like fascist. And, you know, Angel's like, what? He's like, oh, it's the crossword clue. And then he later in that exchange says hag. And then it's like, oh, that's also part of it. But then at the end, they like exchange that exact, you know, thing back and forth. And there's just so many like little bits, either bits like that or again, like literally foreshadowing of like what's going to happen later with like dialogue earlier on that seems to maybe not be pertinent at the moment.
Well, there's so much of the movie is like that. Like even just when they go get the sea mine. Oh yeah, it doesn't work. It hits it and they run out and like, oh, it didn't go off. Okay. And then the very end of the movie, it ends up going off. There's like so much foreshadowing like that throughout the entire movie. And I think this one is, I think Shaun of the Dead has a decent amount of that. I feel like this one is like really heavy-handed later on.
Yeah.
What's his Danny Butterman, like Nick Frost character, the entire time is like, well, have you ever dove and shot two guns at the same time while flying through the air? Have you know, what is he shooting the gun up in the sky? And then like later on the end of the movie when it gets like really intense, he's doing all of that. Of that. It's like, why would you ever do any of that?
One small one two I noticed this go around. The first is before the reporter is killed, they're at like the festival. And as they're like panning into the festival, there's a voiceover that's like, hey, there's going to be a surprise at 3:00 or whatever. And then he dies at 3:00 when the drawing's happening.
Yeah.
The second was his notepad. He said at some point, like, you never know when this is going to save you, you know, and Nick Frost gives him his notepad or whatever. And then it like, quote, saves him later on from dying.
One of the things when I was looking around on like Reddit, people were like talking about those types of like foreshadowing was they keep bringing up like, oh, the roof restoration on the church. That's what that whole event is when they're doing the raffle and the piece of the roof falls off. It's pushed off, but then everyone's like, oh no, the roof needs to be repaired. And they're like, yeah, everyone knows the roof needs to be repaired. That's why he was able to push it off.
Right. The other funny thing too is like the motive of them killing, I think, is really funny because like there's this whole complicated conspiracy of like, yeah, they're gonna sell it to these land developers, blah blah blah, and they're like, no, we just kind of didn't like these people.
Yeah,
like
we just did it for the greater good.
Yeah, like even the even the supermarket guy, like at the after party for the thing was like, yeah, too bad he's an awful actor. We have these other actors that were like off Broadway or whatever.
They're professional actors. This guy was an understudy, and the other lady played a corpse.
Yeah. Or was he an understudy? I thought it was like a background actor.
Maybe it was an extra. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was like an extra.
It was something very tenuous, but because they kind of drop hints about those, like the actual motives throughout as well, but you're kind of led to believe it's the like grand thing.
They set you up for like this giant, like they bought this land for the highway. They're gonna run this through. This is why they're doing it. Well, and even when you see, the first person that you finally see under the hood is the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yarp.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, it makes sense. It's the supermarket guy, and he just has all of his he's having his employee or whatever kill the people. That checks out. And it's like, nope, no, it's dumber than that. Like, what?
Right.
We
just didn't like his house.
We can't have these hoodlums around here. But why did you? Or he was a terrible actor. Well, what about her? She had that annoying laugh.
Like, what about that guy? Yeah, his house was awful.
Yeah, we told him not to build his house like that, but he did it, so he had to go.
Oh, the journalist? Right. Riddled with spelling errors. Newspaper became a tabloid. Had to be stopped.
You don't understand. We have to win Village of the Year.
It's all for Village of the Year.
I love that the movie doesn't really like go away too much from some of the like goofiness in it. Even though there's literally like P.I. Staker or like Martin Blower or like some of the goofy ass names that are.
I mean, what's his face is Messenger, Tim Messenger.
Yeah. What was the gardener ladies? Something Tiller or something like that. It wasn't. Yeah. Like all of their last names are like tied to their profession, basically.
Yeah.
Ben, what did you think on your first viewing of Hot Fuzz?
I remembered watching, like, I remember going to watch this movie, or it was on TV or something, and I think the part of it I had seen was something about, like, I just remember there being something with Simon Pegg in the police uniform, and I can't remember if it was one of the scenes, like, with kids or something, but I only watched, like, 2 minutes of it, and I was like, this just doesn't seem like anything's happening. And it's probably because it's a movie that you actually kind of, like, if you just watch 2 minutes and there isn't anything going on, even though there's a reason for it, you kind of have to sit and watch it.
Yeah.
After this viewing, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved the aspect of it just being like a giant spoof on the buddy cop comedy. I love the fact they're even open, have you seen Point Break? When he wants to shoot Keanu Reeves, but he can't, so, like, he just lays on his back and just fires up in the air. Then at the end of the movie, Nick Frost's character does that exact thing where he can't bring himself to shoot, so he just aims his gun up and starts firing up in the air. Like, just classic. I said, I wasn't not expecting the mystery aspect of it. I was expecting just a lot more action movie, I guess. I was expecting more of a straightforward comedy action. I wasn't really expecting the mystery part of it. I really enjoyed it. It was interesting to me. I love the fact that after the reveal, you're like, oh man, like, I remember kind of having to pause it, and hitting pause, and being like, they just, found out it's the whole town, yada, 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 like, this must be the end of the movie. Then being like, oh wait, there's still quite a bit left to happen. Like, this is interesting that, what the hell else is going to come of this? And then what might be my favorite part of the movie, we haven't talked about, but talk about something that was referenced earlier, right? The Andes. They're talking about, be careful who you pull a gun on. Everybody and their mother has a gun in this town, and he's like, well, who all has guns? Farmers and their mothers. But then at the end, when he rides back into town and they're sitting there, the guy with the big overcoat opens up. He's got a shotgun with him. The one lady opens her little basket on her bicycle. It's full of guns. Like, literally everybody in the town just has hidden guns on them, which I just found to be hilarious.
Well, even further too, his first encounter is with a farmer, and then his mom pulls a gun and tries to shoot him too. Like, literally. Crazy.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really well done balance of finding humor, but also the fact that the action scenes weren't, like, some of the way the people, like, die or get injured or caught is funny, but at no point is it like, I'm trying to think of a good example, like some of the movies, like a Hot Shots or Naked Gun, where it's just like the fight scenes are just over the top comedy for the sake of being funny. Like, these seemed like they really wanted to make an action movie and let comedy be a part of it, but it never once felt like they were sacrificing the action or the gunfights or anything else just for the sake of a joke, which I thought was really good.
I like what you were saying, Ben, about that it doesn't sacrifice one thing for the other. Like, there's some bits when I watch this movie that absolutely crack me up. But at the same time, I'm like, the action scenes are still good. Like, the car chase at the end, like some of the, like, shootouts and stuff, like, they're still really good. And I think the other thing is like, I don't know, I feel like almost this movie is more gory to me than Shaun of the Dead almost.
I think it's just because Shaun of the Dead is more overly saturated in gore because it's zombies, right? Like, you're like cutting people into but like the murder scenes in this are pretty violent, but they like stand out from the rest of the film.
I guess this one's like slightly more like settled in realism than, I guess, Shaun of the Dead, like you're saying. Because I guess each has like their big one, because like this one, I feel like when the dude's head just gets destroyed by the church steeple thing, like, that's disgusting. And then I guess in Shaun of the Dead, is it David, the like douchey dude? He like gets pulled through the window and then
torn apart.
Rip his stomach off. Like, that's pretty gross too. But
it is pretty gross. I forgot about that part. I think also the woman getting stabbed in the neck with the garden shears was pretty brutal too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that one was pretty intense. Yeah, I would agree. I was kind of shocked about how graphic the murders were. So, you think like comedy and action movie, even most action movies don't, some do, but a lot of them don't get super graphic in that sense, at least not the ones that they reference in the movie. I know kind of in more recent years, I feel like a lot more of like the shoot 'em up style movies have gotten more and more intense with how, bloody and gory things can kind of get. But yeah, I was shocked the first murder, and I'm like, oh, this got fucking real. Because don't they isn't like even the first murder, like the acting guy, isn't he like decapitated?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think it's also just that kind of like, Edgar has those like roots in horror, I guess. Shaun of the Dead was horror comedy still, but like, I feel like this movie still the mystery element to it is still kind of like horror-esque. Because it's like you don't know who the grisly murderer is. And it'd kind of be like, not quite like I Know What You Did Last Summer, but like in that vein where there's like, there's this mysterious killer or like doing things, but it's not quite like a serial killer type thing. Like it's not quite like a slasher film in that sense. It is still like a detective story. Ben, you mentioned the Andes. I feel like they're one of my favorite parts of this movie. Just their like shitting on Sergeant Angel the whole movie. Just their like, not necessarily like pessimistic, but just their fucking bad attitude the whole time.
I love everyone that works at the police station. The Andes just have this over-the-top confidence and then are consistently wrong about everything, but still feel the need to be overly confident. Like, just, like I said, like the moment early in the movie when they're just like, everyone and their mother has guns, and he's like, who all has guns? Farmers? And their moms? But then, like, the next time you see them, they still want to sit there and, like, act like they're confident and superior. I love the other sergeant where every time they're at a crime scene, he just goes to Angel and he's like, so, Sergeant Angel, what is the correct method of procedure here? And then Angel says something, he goes, that's correct. Guys, make sure we do that. He's just like he does everything as if he's quizzing him, and in reality, it's obvious he just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Or then like when Tim Messenger is like trying to talk to Angel, and he's like, "What's your perfect Sunday?" And then like he's like, "Oh no, I've got this. I'll talk to the press." He's like, "My perfect Sunday would be." Like, come on.
Even the sergeant that like works the booking station. Just, I don't know, just like his, when he rides off, I didn't know we had a mounted division. It's like, alright. Dude just doesn't pay attention to anything that's going on. Just fantastic.
It's been, probably been a year at least since we've done some trivia on here. Typically we've just gone to, reading off some trivia facts, but I sat down for the movie, I would hope I do Zach proud, and got some good trivia questions for us here. First off, we were talking about the church restoration. So in the police station, they have a swear box where you pay after you swear and all the proceeds go to the church roof restoration. The words listed are knob, bastard, shit, fuck, and cunt. All of them are censored but one. What word is not censored on the box?
Can I get the options again?
Knob, bastard, shit, fuck, cunt. This is definitely getting an explicit tag on the episode.
I feel like I would have to go with, for me, what would be the funniest omission, and go with cunt. See,
I think it was more E, but
I want to say bastard. I'm trying to think in my head. I feel like knob, there was something with the O, or like they made the O like a smiley face or something. I want to say, I could swear fuck was censored. I think it's, I don't know. I'm thinking bastard, but I'm not sure. That's what I'm going with.
All right, final answer?
Yeah.
It is cunt.
Yeah.
You were right. Knob is a smiley face. I think bastard, the A was an @ sign. I think shit and fuck had like stars and stuff on them. And then cunt, the T is kind of made to look like a cross, but it's not like, it's not censoring it at all. So 1 point to Cameron.
Let's go.
The combination to the evidence room is humorous because it's also the number to the police and emergency services in Britain. What was the combination for the evidence room? Was it 911, 411, 999, or 444?
Do you know this game? Is that why you're looking at me?
I think so. Yeah, I think I got this one, maybe.
All right. I think it's 999.
I think so too. Yeah, let me go with that one.
You are both correct.
Okay.
I only took note of it because it was I felt like it was kind of oh, they're in a small town. The combination to the evidence locker is just the same digit 3 times.
Yeah, I did not realize that it was the emergency number there, and then when I saw it, I was like,
I didn't know that either.
Okay, that elevates the joke to the next level. That's
See, I was thinking that I could not remember the code of the evidence locker. I just knew that it was 999 in Britain. I don't know why. Fuck if I know why. I feel like I've seen the poster somewhere where they always did the keep calm and whatever. I feel like I'd seen one of them where it was dial 999 or something. I feel like I'd seen that somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe I've just watched maybe it was on an episode of Sherlock or something. I don't know. It's the only BBC show I can think of that I've seen.
I want to say 911 also works because of American shows and movies and television being so prevalent. I think they also just forward it to that number as well, if I remember correctly. Because I know there was a problem at some point that was people kept calling that number or dialing that because they see it so much.
Okay.
But all right, next question. We're gonna get maybe slightly harder as we go here.
Perfect.
So Ben has 1, Cam has 2. So in the initial pub scene where Officer Angel busts all the kids in the pub, what is the birthday of the second underage kid in the pub? Is it February 22nd, 1969, May 8th, 1969, March 11th, 1969, or April 20th, 1969?
Was that the kid that went, ah?
No, that was the third one. There's
when's your birthday? Ah! Sorry. God. I mean, I don't know. Can you repeat the options again so I can randomly pick one?
All right. So they're all 1969. But February 22nd, May 8th, March 11th, or April 20th.
I'm gonna go with April 20th.
I think it was May 8th.
It is May the 8th.
Damn it. I thought he'd go with the 4/20/69 thing.
That unintentionally fake answer there. But...
Wait, you
it's
didn't
it's gotta be 4/20/69.
You made that the fake answer? You didn't even put that together?
Well, I went for the 420. I forgot about the 69, but...
That's funny.
Just because I made them all the same year, so then I was like, oh, 420's... It'll be funny, you know?
Right.
So the first kid is February 22nd, and he's 22nd of February. What year? Every year. And then the second kid is 8th of May, 1969. He's like, you're 37? Or what?
37? Or 32?
And then the third kid is the...
Kind of fucked up how we see those kids at the end of the movie as skeletons or as decaying corpses.
Yeah. So it's tied at 2 now. The officers, question number 4. The officers wear their badge numbers on their shoulder of their uniform. What is PC Danny Butterman's badge number? Is it
God damn it.
101, 128, 134, or 777?
What were the first couple? Can you repeat all those numbers? Jesus.
101, 128, 134, or 777?
I'm gonna go with the A, I guess.
I want to say 134.
Nobody is correct. 101, Cameron, was the guy who runs the booking station.
Okay.
128 is Danny Butterman's number. 134 is Olivia Colman character. And then 777 is Angel's.
That makes sense.
Because the supermarket manager calls him 777 at one point in the movie too. And he's the only character that refers to him by his bad number. But
well, I feel like it also makes sense because they say 666 is the number of the devil and 777 is heaven
Angel,
the number of God, angel checks out, makes sense. How deep?
Smart.
And
Edgar Wright guy.
such an edge lord.
Imagine if he made some sort of like Marvel movie. That'd be pretty cool.
He didn't, right?
Did he get fired or did he leave?
I don't know if he got fired or if he left. I don't remember what the story was, but
he was supposed to do Ant-Man.
People were super hyped that he was going to do Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And the rumor at the time was that he was going to do Ant-Man, and it was going to be him and our hero, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Interesting.
Oh. Okay. Does look like he left, by the way.
Yeah, I if I remember correctly, it wasn't he was fired. It was like I think he wanted to do things a certain way, and they were like, you have to do it this way. It has to fit X, Y, and Z. And he was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's like before Marvel gave people a slightly shorter leash or longer leash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was thinking he would get more of the James Gunn treatment. And they were like, no. And then after he leaves the movie, then they're like, hey, Taika Waititi, you want to do this more like a comedy? Yeah, go for it, man. And then it's just like, oh, Edgar Wright, I guess. Yeah, fuck you, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean,
you want to make this entire Thor movie dick and poop jokes? Nice. Sounds good.
You want to do another one?
Well, the Ragnarok was good. Yeah, and then they were like, oh, do you want to... Okay, people liked that. Do you want to do that again, but like more?
See, they made
it worse.
They made the Batman 89 mistake, right? Batman 89, really successful. Warner Brothers is like, we love it. Tim, do another one. He's like, all right, cool. They're like, you can do whatever you want. The first one was so good. You can do whatever you want with the sequel. And then they watched the sequel. McDonald's was like, that's way too dark, man. We can't sell kids' toys for this movie. And Warner Brothers was like, Tim, what the fuck, man? He said I could do whatever I wanted. Oh, shit.
God damn it, dude. And it wasted such a good villain, too, in the Thor movie. Gore was so good. That was the best part of the damn movie, and it was a stupid movie.
I haven't seen it because everyone just literally told me it was awful, so I just never...
Like, honestly, it's not worth seeing. Christian Bale is really good as the God Butcher, but that's it. That's all that's worth it there. Which is dumb.
Well, I have another question, if you want to hear that.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Well, we need to. We're tied.
Yeah, we are tied. I said it would get progressively harder.
Yeah, yep, it has.
What is the license plate number of PC Butterman's car when he almost hit Nicholas with his car at the fountain at the very beginning of the film, coming out of the pub? Is it F258NYW, K918XHN, CA51WXX, or SF02MFI?
See, I don't know. The fuck? The fuck is this? Jesus.
I'm gonna say B. I don't have another reason other than the fact that I'm throwing shit at a wall.
Oh God! No one is correct.
Fuck. All right, tiebreaker question. How many eyelashes are on Nick's face without going over?
It is A, F258NYW.
Fuck, I almost said that. No, messed up.
So, hopefully...
We tied. Great. The outcome everybody likes.
Hopefully the tiebreaker question here. We're going to go just whoever gets it closest.
Just closest?
Okay. Yeah. What year was the fountain next to the pub restored? There's a plaque that we see with the names, and it has the year listed.
Do we write it down?
Sure, we can do that.
Ben, do you know it?
I'm pretty sure.
I think this is the one. Unless I'm just blowing smoke, this is probably the easiest one.
All right, if this doesn't get you,
I could be wrong.
I can come up with another tiebreaker. But...
It's fine. I'm cool with being tied. All right, I wrote it down. I'm ready.
Yeah, I did too.
Is...
I hope I'm not about to sound like a complete moron.
It's backwards, but it's 1993.
I put 1903.
Oh, Cam is correct. It's 1993.
Damn. I don't know why I thought it was 03. Because I thought that was funny. The fact that it was restored, but the date was still super old.
Well, it's 93 because it was all the people that are on the council.
Yeah, it was like the entire council.
Which I knew, but for some reason thought it was just still more funny that it was still really old. And they just put their names on it.
Damn, off by a digit.
Ben, the lone goob in the Goob Squad's the only one who hadn't seen this film yet. It's going to give you a fresh rating on Hot Fuzz, and Cam and I will give you a nostalgia rating and then an updated one after watching it.
I feel rusty about reviews.
Just give it a 10 out of 10 and move on.
Best thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's the best movie.
Like I said, I think of the Cornetto movies I had seen, I think just Shaun of the Dead. I haven't seen World's End. But this, I think, definitely might be one of, well, not one of. I've only seen two of them. I liked it more. It was better. I don't know why the first time I tried to watch it, it just didn't hit. But rewatching it now, I really enjoyed it. It's very smart, which I appreciate. Comes across being very dumb, but the humor actually does seem to be smarter. I think it's one of those... I think Conan O'Brien once said that the goal in his comedy was to always be both really smart and really stupid, and that they can exist at the same time. And I think this movie does that very well, where at times it's like, this is kind of dumb in a funny way, and then there's times where it's like, this is really clever. And I think the callbacks in this movie are really smart and really well done. Some of the the visual gags of just some of the stupid things is like, oh, okay, this is dumb but really funny, but it still pulls it off. Man, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10, I think. As someone who enjoys those 80s and 90s action movies and just remembers watching a ton of them growing up, this movie does such a good job of, like I said, I don't want to call it a spoof. I want to call it almost like a comedic homage. And it just does it really well. If you haven't seen it, check it out, especially if you're a fan of action movies in the genre. It's definitely worth it. Yeah, 8 out of 10.
Going in, I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I'm going to leave it at an 8 out of 10. It's a really good movie. I've probably seen it maybe 4 or 5 times now, and like I said, I think every time I watch it, I do pick up on something new. It's just a fun movie. It's a fun, I don't want to say crime, I guess action movie that's really funny. And yeah, and I also like a lot of Edgar Wright's work, so it's going to be an 8 out of 10 for me.
Going in, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. I mean, I just didn't. It was my least favorite one out of the trilogy, and I would actually avoid watching it. The last time I watched it, probably in October, I think. Freaking loved it. Like I said earlier, I got the references. I saw so much more, because it's so many layers, like Cam has said, and like Ben saying that this homage goes to you're learning something, you're seeing something every time you watch it, but it's oh, well, Danny's talking about Bad Boys and Point Blank and how they do this thing where he's shooting up at the sky, or how he's they're gonna do this scene or whatever, or they do this action from the movie, and then later on it's they're quoting the movie, or that something's happening. Then there's the visual reference as well, with Bad Boys, with the Michael Bay panning shots and stuff. And it's oh, so there's this element of the reference. There's this element of the reference. There's this element, and it's so layered. This one is quite obviously, like Ben said, it's not quite a spoof. It's it's very much like a love letter to those action films. You can tell these people watch these movies, they love them. Now here's how we can do this, and it can be humorous, and we can like poke a little fun at them and do all this. I love this one, actually. I'm gonna raise it up to a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I think watching it now, knowing all the references and all the things that they were going for, I'm like, oh, I get this now. This is what I was missing. Now I'm like, oh, this is fucking funny. I think this is one that people should see. There's a lot of like not great comedies from the 2000s. There's some really good ones, and I think this one falls in the like, this one's really good. Check this one out. It's really well done, and you could skip some of those like shittier teen comedies from the 2000s if you're taking a trip down.
Well, I think part of the reason that it is, I think, still funny is because a lot of comedy, I think, in movies does depend on the time at which it was made, you know? And so I think this one actually does a really good job at being funny, but staying away from
time sensitive,
any kind of like, yes, humor. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which like, it's hard to do. I also think this movie does a lot better with repeated viewings. I think if you watch this movie more, I think it does get better, honestly.
I think one of the things I read, this is the last little bit, something I read the other day was like, if you think about a movie and you remove the cell phone, does the movie, or like, you know, the walkie-talkie, or like the whatever this technological crutch is, if you remove that technological crutch, does the movie still work? And I think that's something that, like, when I think about a movie now, I'm kind of like, well, there's nothing in this movie that like ties it to a direct time frame, and I think that works. And then they're not like you said, like, we're never referencing anything of the movie came out in 2007, so like we're never referencing anything that's like, this is 2007.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but like even the movie references it makes, like Bad Boys 2 came out in the even earlier 2000s, like 02 maybe.
Yeah.
Or was it even earlier than that? I thought Bad Boys was 99. Bad Boys 2 might have been like 02. But then like Point Break, 80s.
2003
was
for
the other
Bad Boys 2.
Okay, it was 03. What's the other? Don't they reference one of the Dirty Harry movies, but I can't remember which one, off Death Pool maybe? I can't. One of the Dirty Harry movies they reference. So like another kind of 70s or 80s movie, but like it's not like the references, yeah, like you said, are like super 2000 specific. I think that's a big thing. Like I was scrolling through just one of those nights where like you're just trying to find something to watch, something you don't really want to pay attention to. And I remember scrolling through, I think it was Max, had like all the scary movies on there. I was looking at the first and I'm like, okay, I remember this movie kind of pretty much just being a parody of Scream. But then I'm looking at like 2 and 3, and then like as it went on, the more I'm realizing like with just the cover image that's on Max, I'm like, God, they really dove into like everything has to tie into what's culturally relevant. Which is also ridiculous because by the time they were writing the movie to the time the movie came out, the references already kind of felt dated.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Check out our website, www.cocktailsandclassicspod.com. Hit up the caster links below. Get yourself some alcohol and send us pictures of your cocktail when you make it. Check us out next time. Share us with your friends and family. Leave a like. Rate us wherever you listen, please. Helps us out. And as always, watch responsibly.